Hey CA Warriors, my name is CA Tanmay and I know exams are very near, especially for final CA and inter CA, and I only hope and pray that these exams bring tremendous amount of joy and happiness in all your lovely faces. Okay, so considering the criticality of time, let's start with today's agenda without wasting any time. Okay, so let's begin. One of the most critical aspect, in the preparation phase of any CA aspirant, be it foundation, inter, or final, is those exam days or the leaves between those exam days. Okay, so it becomes really very important on how we plan those exam days. So we give the best shot in our examinations. Okay, so let's see the consideration or the pointers to keep in mind for these, for the planning of the exam days one by one. So let's go then. Okay guys, let's keep it simple. ठीक है, and इस पूरे preparation part को let's divide into 4 stages or 4 steps. Okay, so the first step or the first stage that you have to prepare, that you have to keep in mind while preparing for your last 1.5 days before your examination is divide, or you can say sequence your entire preparation from highest weightage to lowest weightage. इसके दो फायदे होते हैं. फायदा नंबर एक ये होता है that when you prepare like this, एक कॉन्फिडेंस आता है आपके मन में बाय द एंड ऑफ द प्रिपरेशन दैट यू हैव ऑलरेडी कवर्ड ऑल योर मेजर चैप्टर्स, सो अभी यू आर क्वाइट रिलैक्स्ड. एंड सेकेंड फायदा ये होता है दैट द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट, यू कैन से द मोस्ट कंफ्यूजिंग पार्ट इन एग्जामिनेशन दैट आई हैव माई एक्सपीरियंस विद इज रिमेम्बरिंग दो स्मॉल चैप्टर्स के कॉन्सेप्ट्स. Okay, so you tend to forget those concepts more of your small chapters rather than your big chapters for which you have revised for multiple number of times. Yeah, so वो आपको याद रहता है because those small chapters or those small bit chapters were kept in the last of your preparation, so it is very near to your examination. Okay, so keep in mind the first step that start from the highest weightage to the lowest weightage. Guys, the second step or the second stage that you have to keep in mind while preparing is the content that you have to cover. Okay, सबसे डिफिकल्ट, सबसे कंफ्यूजिंग पार्ट यही होता है कि आपको क्या क्या कवर करना है इन दैट 1.5 पर्टिकुलर डेज. ओके, सो दो चीज आपको कवर करनी है. नंबर वन, आपका जो रेफरेंस मटेरियल है जो आपने हमेशा से यूज किया टू रिवाइज योर सब्जेक्ट, just that one reference book or summary notes that you may have prepared for just one reference material. Okay, and number two, few marked questions that you may have been marking through before your revisions that you may have felt difficult or challenging or something like that. Okay, so आपको बस ये दो ही चीजें रेफर करके जानी है before your exam. The idea is कि आपको पूरा पोर्शन रिवाइज करना होता है एग्जाम के पहले. सब कुछ प्रिपेयर नहीं कर सकते, सब कुछ आप रिवाइज नहीं कर सकते. Okay, so the best you can do is that just these two reference material. Number one, your reference book, and number two, your marked questions. Okay, very clear? ठीक है. Let's move on to the third point or third stage. अपन ने फर्स्ट स्टेप में क्या देखा? अपन ने ये देखा कि अपने को किस सीक्वेंस से प्रिपेयर करना है. अपने सेकंड स्टेज में क्या देखा? हमने ये देखा कि हमें क्या कंटेंट कवर करना है. हम थर्ड स्टेज में ये देखेंगे कि अब हमें उस इन पर्टिकुलर दो स्टेप्स को कैसे कंप्लीटली फुलफिल करना है. इन शॉर्ट, इन व्हाट पर्टिकुलर मैनर यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर, इन व्हाट वे यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर. ओके, एज आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर दैट हमें जितना हो सके 100% क्वेश्चन कवर अप करना होता है बिफोर वी गो टू एग्जामिनेशन इन दोज लास्ट 1.5 days. So the best possible manner in which you can do so is when you open your book, we have a practice कि अपन recollect करें what we already know, and then अपन देखें कि क्या लिखा है and then we compare with that. Don't do that. It will just kill your time. अपना इतना time नहीं है last 1.5 days में. Okay, what best you can do is just open your book, just go through once, glance once, read everything once. Don't waste your time in first recollecting then reading. It will just kill your time. Understood? आप बस बुक खोलिए, read one by one everything and move ahead. Don't worry, आपका एग्जाम कल ही है, आपको सब कुछ याद रहेगा. ठीक है? Keep this thing in mind for each and every paper, for that each and every one day gap that you have before your paper. Okay? Don't first recollect then revise. Just open a book and start revising. Read everything once and move ahead. In this particular manner, you'll be able to cover your entire portion in the way I said you earlier. Okay, let's move on to the fourth step. So guys, the fourth and the final consideration that you have to keep in mind is you have to, and this is a compulsion. Okay, इसका कोई break away नहीं है. You have to revise your RTP. अगर टाइम कम है तो एटलीस्ट your attempt का RTP. okay, before you go to your examinations. The only idea behind this is, for example, my attempt was in November 20, in that pandemic period. And if you are aware about the final CA paper that came in November 20, SFM, okay, it was one of the difficult papers throughout the history of SFM, and it was like a nightmare. But one thing that was common in that particular paper, like every other paper, was at least 8 mark का question. At least 8 mark question comes from a RTP. या आपका RTP या फिर one attempt previous RTP. Okay, so make this a religion for every paper in every level, that you must revise a RTP, at least 2 RTPs before you go to examinations. Okay, and if possible थोड़ा उसे नजदीक रखे अपने एग्जाम के 3 hours के पहले, ताकि you recollect that in the best particular manner possible. Okay, this should be religiously followed for each and every paper that you attempt for. Understood? Amazing. So the 4 points are covered, but there are few more considerations that I want you to keep in mind, and let's see what those considerations are one by one. So guys, few more points before we end this video that I would like to share with you is point number 1, sleep. Okay, so sleep is one of the most ignored chapter throughout entire CA preparations, especially in these last exam days. I know कि बहुत ज़्यादा सोना भी अच्छी बात नहीं है during this exam days. 8 घंटा 9 घंटा is something which is not affordable, but at least try to sleep for 6 hours. इसका एक ही कारण है that you have to sustain throughout this entire 14 to 18 days that you have in your exam days, right? And वो 2 घंटा 3 घंटा सो के possible नहीं है. You have to maintain your sleep for at least 6 hours every day. Keep this thing in mind, very sharp, because this will help you a lot, to sustain your efficiency in throughout all exam days. Okay, this is a promise that you make to me and I make to you, that sleep is really very important and you will take care of that. Great. So guys, the final point that we'll discuss in this today's video will be, never ever judge your entire CA exams just from your first paper. Okay, अगर आपका पहला पेपर बहुत ही अच्छा गया है, appreciate it. Start preparing for rest of your papers in the same efficient manner possible. Okay, but अगर आपका पहला पेपर अच्छा नहीं गया है, don't worry about that. Just don't worry about that. Okay, start preparing for next papers in a real efficient manner possible. Understood? मेरा एक friend था who gave इसका पहला पेपर अच्छा नहीं गया था, but then he gave up. He just gave his rest papers just for the sake of giving it. But later on he came to know that he passed in his first paper, and बाकी papers में he scored quite well, but he missed his exams. He missed his pass just by 2 marks. Okay, so if he would have given his all the other papers sincerely, he would have never failed in that particular examination. Okay, so just keep thing in mind. Never ever judge your entire CA exams right from your first paper. So my CA warriors, keep all these points in mind, and I know that you will break a leg in all your CA exams. Okay, and all the best for your attempt, and I hope you just pass out with flying colors. Okay,